Okay, so welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our first webinar. Today is the first webinar, as I mentioned, and we will be talking about living on campus and off campus at McMaster University. So before we start, I just wanted to let you know some housekeeping rules. So if you have any questions, please, you can send us your question on the tab at the bottom where it says question and answer. We will be answering those questions throughout the presentation. So when we were speaking about on-campus or residents, if you have any questions at that time, please write to us and we will answer your questions. I will try to address as many questions live, just so everyone can get those answers. But if they are repeated questions, we do have some staff behind the scenes that will be answering those for you. So again, for question and answers, we will be addressing them throughout the presentation and then again at the end, and just leave them in the question and answer box. Please remember that this webinar is about on and off campus. So please keep the questions to on and off campus. We will be staying on topic. We do have a bunch more webinars that will be discussing other topics coming up. So we do invite you to join us for those, and we will be posting that information a little bit later. So before we begin, we would like to know who is joining us today. So please, you're going to see now on your screens, there's going to be a poll that will be posted. If you can just take a minute to answer that poll, and then we will continue once we have some answers. I think that's good. Are we good, Andrew? Perfect. Okay, so my name is Anna Pereira, and I am the program coordinator for undergraduate international students at McMaster. With me today, I also have Jennifer, and she will be speaking about off-campus options, and we also have Jerry, who will also be talking to us about residence and on-campus. So for Andrew, do you mind hitting the next slide? Thank you. So we've done our introductions, and like I said, today's webinar will be about on-campus housing. You'll get some information on residence and also off-campus housing. And again, please drop us a question on the question and answer, and we will get to it throughout the presentation and then again at the end. So we thought that we would start with a video. This video was completed this year, and it hosts a lot of international students. So every person that you see in the video, except for the City of Hamilton worker and another one of our colleagues, they are current and or past international students. So this video is a little bit about Hamilton and possibly your new home. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's check it out.
Hamilton, I've seen like over the last 6 years, it's an incredible evolution in the city actually.
We have a vibrant cultural scene, we have a vibrant art scene.
So you have people from different backgrounds, different cultures, and it's such a friendly environment.
There's this wave of young generation of art. It brought this really young feeling to the city and a very stylish feeling to the city. I absolutely feel completely at home in Hamilton, and I love the city.
As an international student, I felt so welcomed.
I was coming from Portugal. First time I was actually having a North American experience.
It's a pretty amazing time to be working for the City of Hamilton. I realized that Hamilton was a place where if I really wanted to make a mark, I can do that here.
I found people from like Nigeria, I found people from other countries, so it was very easy for me to kind of fit in.
Hamilton is the middle ground between a city and a suburb, and that's what I was looking for.
You have the makings of a big city, but the feeling of a small town. We have this awesome ability to say, we want to buy local, shop local, support local.
Lots of coffee shops and convenience stores and restaurants. This city really needs some time to actually explore and know. And there are regions like James North area, so like small villages inside the city that are very, very pretty and very homey.
I love the harbor front. It is so beautiful. Just clears your head up because you're just sitting there and you're looking at things and you're like, I think I know what my next step is.
You have this sense of, I can make things happen, but I can contribute to something bigger than myself and make something bigger, better.
Find like their spot and feel like this is my new home.
The more you see, the more you'll be able to relate with something that you saw back home, and it's gonna hit you and you'll be like, this is home now. This is it. This is my place.
So I hope you all enjoyed that video and got you a little bit more excited about Hamilton and your possibly future home. So Hamilton is a wonderful city. There's about 600,000 residents in Hamilton. We are very close, and there's easy access to highways and trains and buses. So we're basically right in the middle between Toronto and Niagara Falls. So it's fantastic. You can go to Toronto on a weekend or Niagara Falls. You are very close. Obviously by car, you cannot walk it. It might take you a few days to do that. So Hamilton is also known for its growing arts scene, great restaurants, a great presence for cultural restaurants here in Hamilton, and also very many beautiful waterfalls. So we are known as the waterfall capital. We have over 100 waterfalls here in Hamilton. So I do encourage you to explore when you have a chance. So moving right along, we will be talking to Jerry, who will go over living on campus. So Jerry, thank you.
Hello, hi there. So for first year guaranteed residence students, we're going to be talking primarily towards first year guaranteed residence students. So I live in residence. So living in residence provides many perks for students and can be a really amazing way to transition and adjust to their new university life. So living residence offers like academic and social benefits, as well as a sense of community, especially if you're part of a living learning community, an LLC, which I'll touch on in a moment. So here at McMaster, we understand that learning kind of extends beyond further than the classroom, and living in residence is a great way to allow students to gain life skills that'll be useful later in life and in other avenues. So we've had a few questions regarding safety. So for student residents, they have access 24/7 access to support staff, as well as community advisors on each floor who can provide personal advice and support. CAs are upper year students, former resident students who can help you with any university questions you may have. As well, every residence building has key card entry, and every residence room has a secure lock. Cameras are also installed in main areas, and CAs will check in all students and guests entering buildings from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. on Thursdays and Saturdays. So at McMaster, we have a variety of different room types. We have traditional double style rooms, as well as apartment and suite style options. The traditional styles usually refer to the double rooms, where students will share a space with another individual, but will have their own individual twin bed, their own individual desk, dresser, and wardrobe. Washrooms, common rooms, and kitchens are located on every floor, and these will be shared by all of the students in that type of res. For the apartment and suite style rooms, these come typically in 4 and 6 bedroom units shared within a single apartment unit. So students will enjoy their own private bedroom, but will share the washroom, kitchen, common area, and living areas with the rest of their apartment roommates. So at McMaster, we have about 74% of our room spaces are traditional style bedrooms. So we would suggest to be prepared to live with a roommate, and it's a really great experience. If you're interested, on our website at housing.mcmaster.ca, we'll have information about each room type, and as well as their matching floor plans. So some important dates to keep in mind. Once you've been accepted to McMaster, in your offer letter, it will state that whether or not you're guaranteed residents. And if you are, you need to submit your online application along with your $600 deposit by June 3rd, 2019 at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. If you have a student accommodation request to be made, The deadline for that is June 10th at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time as well. So residents' room assignments will begin in mid to late June, and move-in weekend is Saturday, August 24th and Sunday, August 25th. Residents' admissions will be sending out information on how to apply for early arrivals. So if you cannot make it during your assigned move-in date and time, or have a pre-booked flight, we accept early arrivals as early as mid-August, but more information will be coming out soon. So please stay tuned to housing.mcmaster.ca and plan your flights accordingly. In December, we expect resident students to move out. However, we do understand that many students do not have the opportunity to go home for the holiday break. So for a small fee of $385, you'll be allowed to stay over the December break. And this includes access to your residence buildings, access to your CAs, and access to an on-call residence life area coordinator. We'll also be running programs and activities that are planned over the break to keep the community connected and just have some fun with who is still available on campus. So if you're interested in this option, you can make a request as you're applying for your residence. So for accommodations, if you require accommodations for a medical, disability, or religious need, you can fill out your accommodations request as you're filling out your residence application. But keep in mind that you will be asked to submit supporting attesting professional documentation when filling out your request there. So for our living learning communities, at McMaster, we have about 10 living learning communities, also known as LLCs, to choose from. These are typically communities that share interests or hobbies. So for example, we have an esports and gaming LLC and a health and wellness LLC. These are great ways to meet other students that share similar interests. And by joining one, you get to participate in a variety of themed events that are planned with your interests in mind. So for residence fees, during your first year, we expect you to budget for everything from textbooks to transportation. Students are responsible for paying the full residence fee for their room. And these fees may vary by room type, but you should budget between $6,000 to $9,000 for the entire academic year. So from September to April. As well, hospitality services also requires that all students living in residence have a meal plan as well. So meal plan selection is completed while you do your residence application online and can cost anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 for the academic year. Some other costs to consider as well. We do offer programming and opportunities that you can opt in for additional fees if you're interested. Some of these include intramural sporting events, off-campus field trips. We also offer room cleaning services that you can purchase a variety of packages if you need, depending on your cleaning needs. We also have in-residence laundry facilities. So on move-in day, you will receive a card that you can load with money in order to take advantage of these laundry facilities. For fridge rentals at McMaster, we do rentals through Coldex. So if you would like to have a fridge in your room, you can make that request and the fridge will be placed in your room prior to move-in, so you don't have to deal with a fridge at all. And for on-campus parking, if you do choose to bring a vehicle to campus, just be sure to purchase a parking pass through parking services. So we've also had some questions about people that are not guaranteed. So just don't worry, there are a lot of options for accommodations. So you can apply to the residence waiting list as spaces may open up over the summer. We can also connect you with our off-campus housing listing service to find off-campus accommodations. And there's also the MAC1 program that will pair you up with a residence LLC, meaning that you'll get to experience the same events and meet other resident students as if you were also living residence. So if there's any more questions or information about on-campus housing at McMaster, please visit our website at housing.mcmaster.ca. Thank you.
Hi, Jerry. So we have a lot of questions coming in, so we are going to try to address some of them as best we can. So one of them says, hi, I'm in for the graduate studies September 2019. Actually, wait, I'm going to skip this one. From what I understand, for on-campus housing, we do have list of choices to make. And I would like to know if it is better to put first choice that we prefer or the more accessible one.
Sorry, could you repeat the second half of that question?
So I'm not too sure what the student's asking. I know that they're comparing their first choice versus their accessible choice. So I'm not too sure if the student is referring to if they need accessibility services, or are all residences accessible, or is there's one over the other, or what would you say for that?
We suggest that you plan in order of like accommodations. So if you do need accommodations, to plan with that like ahead, just so that you have that as your first choice.
Perfect. If we are accepted in the on-campus housing, are we allowed to refuse?
If you're accepted to on-campus housing, you are allowed to decline your housing.
Perfect. Can a student stay for just the first 4 months, or is it a 1 year commitment, or in this case 8 months?
So it is a 1 year commitment. It's the entire academic year. Usually we only do part-time if it's an international or exchange type or an exchange type program.
Great. Is vegan food available in residence?
Is vegan food available?
Mm-hmm.
I believe Bridges and the Phoenix, there are a couple options for vegan, for vegetarian, halal, and other dietary needs on campus.
And just to add to that also, the residences do have kitchens, so you are able to make your own food. What Jerry has mentioned in terms of Bridges and the Phoenix, those are restaurants that are on campus. And there are also other restaurants that are on campus that you can access some food. But again, the residences are built with kitchens that you can cook your own food. Let's see if we have any other ones. Okay, so I just answered this one, so I'm going to keep on going. What is the mixed gender housing like?
So for mixed gender housing, your room will be shared with the same gender, but the floor will be a combination of a mix of genders.
Great. I think we might have more, but I think I'm going to keep going just because I know Jen has a lot of information. So we will get to some of your questions as well, probably just by typing them to you. So to move on, we now have Jen, and she will be talking to you about living off campus. So Jen, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer, and I manage the Off-Campus Resource Center here at McMaster. So for many of you, you will be living off campus. So we're going to talk about the options available to you. First of all, we wanted to explain to you a bit of the terminology that you might see in some of the advertising postings on our website. Utilities. Utilities refer to heat costs, electricity costs, costs of water, internet, or cable television. Sorry, I should say water, electricity, and heat, but internet or cable television are usually not included in utilities. They are sort of a separate category on their own. As far as furnishings go, we talk about furnished, unfurnished, partially furnished. Most rooms or apartments are unfurnished, meaning that you will have to buy your own bed, desk, dining table, etc. Some situations do provide these basic furnishings, however, but they might cost you a little bit more money to rent versus an unfurnished room. We also use the term co-ed often, and for us, co-ed is used to describe a situation in which males and females live in the same apartment or house, but they share common spaces such as kitchens and bathrooms. You might be able to find all female or all male living situations, but you'll have to look for those details within the ad. If you come across the word sublet or subletting, this means that someone holds a lease, a tenant holds the lease with the landlord, but is renting out their room on a temporary basis to someone else. And so if you're that someone else, you become the subtenant to the tenant, and you would have to sign a sublet agreement with the tenant. So there are a number of different places to search for housing if you're coming to Hamilton. But honestly, the best place to start your search is on our website, which is macoffcampus.mcmaster.ca. The people that choose to list with us on that website have paid a fee to advertise with us, but please note that this does not mean that these landlords are completely reliable. We do not go out to view the houses or apartments. It's very important that you see the property for yourself before you decide to sign a lease agreement, so to make sure that it's the right place for you. You can use other sources, some of which I've referenced here, but you will have to be careful to check its location on a map to be sure of where it is in relation to the main McMaster campus. So looking at our website specifically, macoffcampus.ca, this gives you a visual of what the search page looks like. You will first need to choose a category, and then you can see what advertisements are under that category. For most of you, I would suggest you start with student rentals, or if you're a graduate student, you can look under grad, faculty, and staff rentals. If you're coming for just 4 months, you might also choose to look under the sublets category. For grad, faculty, and staff listings, the people that are posting there are generally looking for more mature individuals who are looking for a quiet, studious environment in which to pursue their studies. This slide shows you what the next page looks like when you click on a category. These are little summaries. Each of those boxes are little summaries of each of the ads. You'll notice that each ad may fall into a different subcategory, such as bedroom in a student house, or student house full house available, or student high-rise apartment. There are other subcategories, but pay attention to those. You don't want to waste your time looking at categories that aren't really relevant to you. For instance, student house full house available means that the landlord is looking for a large group of students to fill the house, but probably doesn't want to rent just one room to you alone. You can also quickly see what date the unit will be available. Some will say available now, or maybe at the start of a specific month. So in most of your cases, I'm sure you probably don't want it until September 1st. So you might look at those ads primarily. The next slide. The next slide shows you the full details of the left-hand sidebar as seen on the previous slide. By choosing different subcategories and other details, you can narrow down the results of your search to better suit your specific needs. For instance, in this example, I have asked to find only 1-bedroom apartments in a student house. And in zone 1, which is within walking distance of the campus, and available as of September 1st. And those that include the cost of heat, electricity, and water. You can see that you can really narrow down your search by using these subcategories to search in. If you see an ad summary that you're interested in, click anywhere in that rectangular box, and that will take you to this next level of detail. This is an example of one of those ads, and you can see there's a lot more description here in this view. This allows you to see all of the information available to you. You'll see extra details in the description section. This is where you might see, somebody might say in here that it's a co-ed house or an all-female house. It gives you a little bit more of an idea of what else you might find in that property. Next page. At the bottom of that ad, if you scroll down the page, you will come to the contact details for the ad. You can contact the landlord directly, either by the phone number that they provide in the ad or through the email dialog box found at the bottom of the page. Sometimes they don't want to receive phone calls. Sometimes they only want to be contacted by email. So you might only see that, or sometimes people don't have email, only phone numbers. When you're emailing them, let them know that you're an international student coming to McMaster in the fall. If possible, let them know the year that you're entering and which program you're going to be studying in, so they are more confident that you are a legitimate student. Another option is to, if you have Facebook, you could register and be part of this group called the McMaster Student Housing Post Board. This is not an official McMaster University page. It's not run by my office. It's strictly a student-run page where people can put ads up if they have a room available in their student house. It's a free option for them, whereas for our website, you have to pay. So therefore, this might be a different place that they might want to advertise. Likewise, you could, when you register, and if you become a member of this group, you can also put messages on there saying that you're looking for a place to live, and then people could reach out to you and let you know if they have something for you. The ads on the Facebook group may not be as detailed as the ads on the McMaster website, simply because there is no predetermined format that they have to use. People can put as little or as much detail in this ad as they want to. It's not easy to search through these ads. They're not in any particular order, but I think it's definitely worth your time to go and look on this site to see what there might be for you. This is a snapshot from Kijiji. Kijiji is spelled KIJIJI.ca for Canada. This is another source of online advertisements that you can look through. Again, they're not easily searchable, so you have to really pay attention to the location of the property in relation to which campus you're going to be at. They could be all across the city of Hamilton. And we are a very large, physically large city, so you could end up being very far away from the campus if you're not careful to check on a map. The next slide is just an example of what one of the ads might look like on Kijiji. Again, there's no set format, so people can just post whatever information they feel is necessary. But just wanted you to see what it might look like. Another suggested website is gottarent.com. That's GOTTARENT.com. Make sure you're looking under Hamilton, Ontario. This site is pretty much specifically for high-rise apartment buildings. You're not going to find rooms in a student house on this board. So if you want a place just for yourself, or maybe there's two of you, you want a two-bedroom apartment, this might be a good place to look. So I suggest before you actually start looking for housing, you should do a bit of preparation. First of all, think about who you might want to live with, if anybody. Perhaps you're traveling here with another student from your local school or community, and you want to live together in the same house. It's highly probable that you'll be able to find a house together, each of you with your own private bedroom, but a shared kitchen, bathroom, and living space. Again, if you want just a private space to yourself, self-contained one-bedroom apartment, you can find those options as well. If you are coming here all by yourself, but you do hope to live with other people, we offer a service called the Housemate Connector. You'll find this on our website, macoffcampus.ca, or we sort of have two websites on the go right now. The other one is hcs.mcmaster.ca. If you go to that link, you can register yourself, fill out a profile, and once your profile is approved, you can then go into the system and look at other people's profiles. If you see someone that you're interested in that you think has the same interests as yourself, or maybe is in the same program, you can reach out to them via the email that's available and introduce yourself and sort of take it from there. And hopefully you make sort of a connection and maybe you decide that, yeah, let's be housemates together. And then you can go back to the regular listings and look for a place that you can live together for the next several months. This slide just shows you a bit about the profile that you will fill out. It's similar to applying to residence, really. We ask you details about what time do you go to bed, what time do you get up. Do you like to have a quiet space when you study, or you like to socialize, those kind of things, just to give people an idea of what your lifestyle is like. And then again, hopefully you can find someone with similar lifestyle to yourself. Also, before you start your housing search, I suggest you give some thought to the type of housing that you want. There are lots of different options available here in Hamilton, and I'm going to explain them on the next few slides. Probably the most common type of housing that we have here in Hamilton is what we refer to as a bedroom in a student house. And these are just snapshots of some typical rooms or a typical house, what you might see walking down the street. So these homes were built as traditional family homes, but as families moved out, landlords bought the properties and have decided to rent them to students. Therefore, what used to be a traditional 3-bedroom home might now be a home with 5 or 6 bedrooms or more. They often build rooms in the basement, which tend to be cooler here because they're below ground and we do have winter. Or they sometimes will make the living room or an attic a bedroom. And the attic tends to be much warmer than the rest of the house. There's some things to think about when you're considering the type of room or the location of the room in the house. They do this in order to fit more tenants into the house and to make more money for rent. So as far as a bedroom in a student house, it means that you will have your own private bedroom, but you will be sharing the space with other students. And this is usually the most affordable type of accommodation that you're going to find. So if money is a concern, you probably want to look at a bedroom in a student house. Again, you'd have your own private bedroom, which may or may not be furnished. You will have to carefully read the details of the ad about that. But then you will share the kitchen and the bathroom with the other students living in the house. Most of these houses have anywhere from 5 to 10 bedrooms in them. So you could be sharing common space with several other people. In these situations, you will likely be asked to sign a 12-month or an 8-month lease. A special note about housing in Canada. We do have basements here in Hamilton, and there are often bedrooms located in the basement, as I mentioned. These spaces, however, are usually nicely finished with proper walls, lighting, and windows. They're generally not awful, to be honest, but some people will not be comfortable in them. I suggest that you at least consider this space. If you hear of a basement bedroom, you can often get these spaces for a cheaper rent. And again, you might be surprised at how nice a basement can be. Student high-rise apartments. We do have several high-rise buildings close to campus. And then there are a lot more even in downtown Hamilton. But if you don't want to live with that many people, you might consider renting a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, which might be more comfortable for you. Again, you'd have your own private bedroom, but share the bathroom and kitchen with the others. These high-rise apartments are almost always unfurnished. So you will have to buy a bed, desk, dining table, kitchenwares such as cutlery and dishes. But a refrigerator and a stove will be provided for you. You can also find just a 1-bedroom apartment or a bachelor or a studio apartment, which means there's no distinct bedroom. It's just one big living space open to the kitchen, but you'll have a private bathroom for your use. These apartments will almost always insist that you sign a 12-month lease, which could be a concern for some of you if you're only going to be here for 4 or 8 months. I do not recommend that you sign such a long lease unless you have no other option. If you do end up signing 12-month leases, you can then probably try to sublet to someone else when you leave. If you definitely want or need a furnished unit to live in, there are some apartments in the area that are designed specifically for students. and are furnished with bed, desk, and kitchen access. You'll find these advertised on our website under student high-rise apartments. Because these units are fully equipped and are usually a very new building, they are much more expensive than a room in a student house. So if you can afford it, these would make for a really easy option for you to rent. One drawback is that most of them will also ask you to sign a 12-month lease or longer, but they generally have a long list of people waiting to move in. So they can probably help you to find a replacement if you do leave earlier than the lease. They often run a roommate matching service as well, so that you can apply as a single person and they will match you with someone else in the building who's looking for a roommate, which can save you a lot of time and frustration. If you're coming for just one semester or even longer, but particularly for just one semester, you might look into what we refer to as a room in a landlord's home. These types of rooms are in a family home wherein you would have a private bedroom, but share the kitchen and bathroom with the owner and their family if they have children or a spouse. Sometimes they just live on their own and they have extra bedrooms that they then rent out to people like yourselves. The owner is usually quite happy to be living with an international student, sharing in a learning experience with you. The all-inclusive rent price is generally affordable, meaning the utility costs are included in your rent. You don't need to budget any extra money. Usually it's just one flat fee. It includes furnishings, sheets, towels, and some of the basic kitchen housewares. Because you would be dealing directly with the homeowner and it is their private space, they're usually willing to be more flexible in the length of the lease. So this is why it is a very good option for short-term stay. Next question to ask is, how much can you afford? Of course, you will always need to think about your budget. How much can you afford to pay in rent, plus the cost of utilities and the cost of buying food, travel plans that you might want to do while you're here, etc. Depending on your budget, it will make a difference as to which type of housing you can realistically consider. Some examples of rent costs. These are just some average estimates for you to use while you're budgeting, but remember that these prices are in Canadian dollars, and you'll find that you're going to see places that are cheaper than these and some that are more expensive. But again, this is just a good median range to budget with. For instance, a room in a student house, I would suggest you should expect to pay about $550 a month plus the cost of utilities with no furnishings. Utilities altogether might cost you another $60 or $70 per month, plus your share of internet probably. A one-bedroom apartment in a one-bedroom in a two-bedroom shared private student residence will cost you in the neighborhood of $1,000 plus electricity. Whereas if you were to get a one-bedroom apartment to yourself in a private apartment building, you would probably be spending closer to $1,000 or $1,500 a month. And room in a landlord's home is going to cost you somewhere in the neighborhood of probably $700 a month, but again, includes furnishings and utilities. Finally, you need to think about where you want to live. The main McMaster campus is in the western end of Hamilton, but we also have a medical campus and our Center for Continuing Education in downtown Hamilton. Our MBA school is in the city of Burlington. All of these will make a difference as to which part of Hamilton you want to live in, so be careful when choosing your location. On our website, we have organized our listings according to zones. This is unique to our website, macoffcampus.ca. You won't see it on any other listings. The McMaster Children's Hospital and the McMaster Innovation Park are also found in Zone 1, along with the main campus. This is a nice, safe part of Hamilton, easily accessible by bus, and has all the amenities that you need for living, including grocery stores, pharmacies, restaurants, coffee shops. Zones 2 and 3 are downtown Hamilton, and these zones include the McMaster David Braley Health Sciences Center and the McMaster Center for Continuing Education. There are some other hospitals downtown as well. You'll also find a mall centrally located called Jackson Square Mall, which has many stores for your convenience, including a great multicultural grocery store called Nation's Fresh Food. Zones 2 and 3 are easily accessible by direct city bus to the main campus, which takes about 20 to 25 minutes to reach by bus from downtown. With this in mind, if you are an undergraduate or graduate student, but not an MBA student, you will have access to a bus pass. It is included in your student fees, and so will not cost you anything extra to ride the bus to get around the city of Hamilton. This means that you might choose to live a little bit further away from campus, which could save you some money in rent costs. McMaster University main campus is a very popular destination for riders. There are many buses coming into the campus on a regular basis every day of the week, late into the evening. The name of our city bus system is commonly referred to as the HSR, which stands for Hamilton Street Railway. And we've given you the website there so you can do some further exploration on the different schedules and the fare, well, not fares because your fees are included, but the different schedules and routes, etc. As you'll see, this is a close-up of that website, and they do offer a trip planning feature within the city of Hamilton. So if you want to know how to get from, let's say, the McMaster main campus to Lion Ridge Mall, which is on the opposite end of the city, you can punch in those two different destination points, and they'll show you and tell you which buses to take and where to transfer and all that information. I know that as an international student, you're probably worried about finding a place, and ideally, you would like to secure something before you arrive in Hamilton. However, this can sometimes be a problem. For instance, if you choose a place to live over the internet, you may end up choosing a place that is too far from the campus. Or you might rent a room that is not very nice or doesn't feel safe, which is not something, of course, you were hoping for. If possible, I suggest that you reserve a hotel room in advance for the first couple of days when you arrive in Hamilton, and then you can use that time to go out and look at rental properties for yourself to be sure that you're getting the right place that suits you and for the right length of time that you need it for. So some basic things I want you to know about living in Ontario. There is a law in Ontario called the Residential Tenancies Act, and it dictates some basic things and explains what landlords are responsible for as well as tenants. So the landlord is going to expect you to pay your rent on time every month, usually by the first day of each month. The landlord is responsible for keeping your place in a generally good state of repair. If something breaks or stops working, it is their job to fix it or hire someone to make the repair. If, however, you cause the damage yourself, either willfully or out of neglect, then you will have to pay to have the repairs made. Even though the landlord must provide you with sources for heat, electricity, and water, they do not have to pay for those utilities. They might include these in your rental fee, or they might make you pay for them separately on your own. And I just wanted to make note that the landlord is required to give you 24 hours notice before they enter your house or apartment. They cannot just use their own key and enter whenever they want. You have the right to privacy under the law, so don't let the landlord take advantage of you. As for you as the tenant, you do have some expectations of yourself as well and responsibilities. As mentioned, you are required by law to pay your rent on time and in full. If for some reason you do not have the money available at the beginning of the month, speak with your landlord right away. He might be willing to wait a few days, but it's best to be honest and explain why you will be delayed. If you are late paying your rent, he can evict you. Keeping the home clean is important to not just your landlord, but to your housemates as well. You'll be sharing common spaces like the kitchen and bathroom, so it's important to clean up after yourself. Make sure not to leave food and crumbs lying around, as this can attract cockroaches, ants, and mice, which is very unhealthy for everyone involved. When putting your garbage outside for pickup, it should be stored in closed containers so that rats and raccoons do not get into it, making messes that you will have to clean up. If you need something repaired, it is best to put your request in writing, either through email or an actual letter, and give that to your landlord as soon as possible, asking them to make the repairs. If the landlord does not respond or refuses to make the repair, you can contact the Ontario Landlord and Tenant Board for assistance. But it's important to note that you should never withhold your rent as a way to try to get the landlord to make the repairs. If you do not pay your rent, again, the landlord can have you evicted. As mentioned, you need to allow your landlord to enter if they have given you written notice 24 hours in advance and they've explained to you why they need to enter. For instance, to make the repairs or check smoke alarms, etc. I told you a little bit before about the Ontario Residential Tenancies Act, and they oversee the relationship between a landlord and a tenant. In most situations, you're going to be asked to sign a lease. And the Landlord and Tenant Board is there so that if any of those agreements within the lease get broken, you can turn to them for some help. It's important for you to know that this is a legal document and should be taken seriously. Once you sign the lease, you cannot easily get out of it, which is why it is so important to see the place that you plan to rent and make sure that you're comfortable with it before you sign the lease. You should be sure that you understand the requirements within the lease and agree to the terms that you're expected to live by. Once you sign the lease, you're legally committed to paying the rent each month for the duration of that lease. If you don't pay your rent on time or leave without getting your landlord's permission, the landlord can take you to court. If you do make arrangements with the landlord to, if you do arrange for a place before you arrive in Hamilton and you're not happy with it when you get here, you should speak with your landlord immediately, and they might let you start looking for someone to replace you. However, you do have to keep paying your rent in full until a replacement moves in to take over for you. When you sign a lease, the landlord is going to ask you to pay a deposit. Legally, they are only allowed to ask you to pay an amount equal to 1 month's rent. So if you're going to pay $600 per month for rent, that is all that they can ask you for to start. The rest of the rent will be paid to them at the beginning of each month. They're not allowed to ask you for a damage deposit, a cleaning deposit. They also cannot require you to pay for all of your rent in one lump sum. I strongly recommend you do not pay with cash unless you get a receipt immediately for that transaction. Otherwise, they might take your cash and then lie and say that they didn't receive the money from you. Always try to pay by check or e-transfer if possible. Also, always ask to get a receipt for the money you paid to the landlord, because you will need that proof that you paid that rent when you file your income tax next year. If you change your mind about renting the place after you have paid the deposit, the landlord is not necessarily obligated to return the deposit money to you. The landlord is allowed to ask for a small amount for a key deposit, about $50, in case you lose a key and they have to replace it. This key deposit must be listed as refundable in your lease so that when you vacate your unit, they will have to return any unused amounts to you. Make sure that you have the landlord's full name, their mailing address, and a phone number to contact them at. And if you're a first-year undergraduate student, you might be very interested in attending Welcome Week, which begins this year on Saturday, August 24th. Most leases, however, will begin on Saturday, September 1st. Don't be afraid to ask your landlord if you can move in early so that you can attend Welcome Week. If the room is going to be vacant, then you probably can move in early for a little bit of an extra cost and just pay for that extra week to stay there. All landlords should be asking you to sign the Ontario Standard Lease, which is actually 14 pages long. This makes it a really easy, clear standard lease for both the landlord and the tenant to understand their rights and responsibilities. This is what the first page of the lease looks like. So watch for this when you're signing leases. If the landlord does not give you a lease that looks like this, you have the right to ask them to do so. And if they still refuse, you can withhold your first month's rent until they provide you with this version. So paying your rent, this is often, or coming up with that deposit, this is often a concern for many international students. Landlords are allowed to ask you for certain things. They can ask you for references or to provide a credit check as proof that you're a good tenant and can afford to pay your rent. However, this can be a challenge if you're coming from another country. So it's very difficult. There's no simple, easy answer of how to get around this. These are some things that I suggest that you try. First of all, open up a Canadian bank account and deposit funds from your home bank so that you can show them that you have funds available to support you. You could ask the new bank to write a letter stating when you opened the account that funds are available in the account, and particularly if there are any dates that you expect to have regular deposits coming in. If you received a job offer or your offer to attend McMaster, you might show them a copy of that letter explaining that, validating the fact that you are coming and you are going to be part of the McMaster community. If you are going to be receiving any financial awards or special funding from McMaster, you might also print off a copy of the letter, again, showing that you're going to have this money coming in. They just want to be sure that you're able to pay your rent, and sometimes they can be a little bit more skeptical when you're an international student. Not that that's right, but that is just a fact. Things that you need to watch out for. I have to warn you about these things. When you're looking for housing, as mentioned before, try not to pay cash. You cannot trace cash like you can a check, so a landlord can easily lie and say that you didn't pay them. You should not have to pay all of your rent in one lump sum. You should only have to pay 1 month at a time. And if a landlord says that they are unable to show you the inside of the house or the apartment for some reason, but they still expect you to pay them a deposit, do not rent from them. You should always be able to see the inside before renting. If you're not comfortable with that person or you don't trust what they're telling you, just keep looking at places and you'll find a much better option, I'm sure. Some tips, things to think about when you're living here in Canada. Ways to keep yourself safe. Always lock your doors and windows. We do live in a safe part of Hamilton. Generally, the Westdale neighborhood that's close to campus is generally very safe, but it is a student neighborhood. And so sometimes thieves will target the area just knowing that students typically don't lock their doors and windows. So make sure that you are doing that and keeping yourself safe. Do not plug too many things into the electrical socket. Be careful if you're using an extension cord. You should not plug too much into it, or this could cause a fire if you overload things. And only use good quality extension cords. Do not use ones from the dollar store. They do tend to be more of a fire hazard. If you're cooking with grease, please stay with the pot. Grease fires are one of the top causes of house fires in Canada. You should stay with it, keep an eye on it, make sure it's not up too high, and make sure it's turned off and removed from the hot stove as soon as you're done with it, and clean the top of the stove regularly to avoid any grease buildup. When you arrive in Hamilton, a few things to keep in mind when you go to move into your place. Let the landlord know the date and the expected time of your arrival so that they can be there to meet you and give you the keys. While they're there, take a few minutes with them to walk through the house and make note of existing damage so that you are not responsible for damage that was there before you arrived. You don't want to be charged for those extra repairs. Ask your landlord how to dispose of garbage and recycling because it's different in every city in Canada. You want to understand where your mail delivery is going to, how it's going to be accepted. Sometimes it will come to your house. Sometimes there might be a post office box that you need to go and retrieve. And you might just want to double check with them about how the appliances work because it might be different from where you're coming from. And unless you bring them with you, you are going to have to buy your own bedding, towels, pillows, etc. There are some stores near the main campus where you can buy some of these basic items when you get here, or you can plan a trip later to Walmart or some other stores that are a little bit further away to buy those supplies. That's it for me. I'm sure you probably got some more questions that I didn't respond to, but I'm also leaving you here with the contact information for our office. You can send us an email or you can go onto our website. Again, we're sort of using two different websites right now, but there's a lot of information on both of those sites that might answer some of your questions as well. But I think we're going to actually respond to some questions.
Thanks, Jen. So we have been answering some questions via text or just by responding to them. So I have saved some for to do live. So this one's for you, Jerry. So for the December break, would you know how much that would cost for students to stay for the December break if they wish to?
So the fee for the December break is $385.
Perfect. Another question for you. When is the date that students will find out if they have secured on-campus housing?
So following June 3rd, we'll be sending out information regarding whether or not, like that particular information.
Okay, perfect. So that also is the same for if students want to know deadlines for paying the total cost of meal plans and stuff like that, they would get information after June 3rd.
We will get that information in an email following that date.
Perfect. I also have a student asking if you can give some information on the meal plans.
Is there anything specific?
I know one student asked if there are places to eat on campus that don't require a meal plan, but from my understanding, if you're on campus, there is at least the minimum meal plan is required for all students who are on campus. Is that correct?
Yes, for all resident students, a meal plan is required, but also if you do not have a meal plan as another student, I believe what the question was, all of the eateries do also accept cash, debit, and credit.
Perfect. But just to clarify, students who are staying in residence, a meal plan is required.
Yes, a meal plan is required by hospitality for students staying in residence.
Perfect. And also with that meal plan, there are options for students to dine both on campus and some off campus, correct?
Yes, there are several off-campus options that do accept our meal plan.
Great. Can you give a little bit of information on when is the checkout date for on-campus accommodation? So when will students have to move out?
So students are expected to move out the day following their last exam.
Okay, great. And is that for, will they have to move out in December, or they're able to leave their things there in December and then they just have to actually move out in April?
So in December, you can leave everything of yours in the res. That's not an issue, but following your last exam in the spring, that's when you move out.
Thank you. Another one for you. You seem like a popular guy today. So if a student decides that they do not want to share a room, would they just select, like on the application, is there a selection where they can just check a private room, or how would that work?
So unfortunately, they are only preferences on the application. We can't guarantee that you will receive a single room or not.
Okay, great. Some of the room types say that they are limited. What is the risk of not getting a room if I only choose limited room types and not doubles?
So it will just depend on demand, and we'll have to see once the June 3rd deadline hits.
Okay. Also, I know that if students are applying for residence and they have a friend who's also applying for residence, there's usually, they can identify that so that they can hopefully be paired. So I have a student who says that, so they have guaranteed, him and I'm guessing the student and a friend are both guaranteed residents. And in the application, they're trying to identify themselves as possible roommates, but it says no matches found. Do you know how they would take care of that problem? Is there a glitch, or?
I believe that may be a glitch. There is an option to message residence application admissions to if there is an issue. But otherwise, they would go to the roommate request form and use their student ID that they received in their offer.
Great. And also for costs of the meal plan, would you just direct them to your website?
Sure. So the meal plan website is just hospitality.mcmaster.ca/meal_plans.
Great, thank you. I also have a student asking if a single user washroom with double room, how is that? How many students share that?
Typically, they'll be in an alcove of maybe 2 to 4 rooms.
Okay. Is there a cafeteria/dining room in every residence building? Is there a kitchen on every floor?
So there is not a cafeteria in every building. Most buildings do have either eating options within the building or in adjacent buildings. And for all of the traditional style dorm rooms, there will be a shared kitchen and common space for each floor.
Great. So there is a student who has a conditional offer to McMaster. If they do go ahead and actually ask to stay in residence and they pay the $600, if at the end of that their offer is rescinded or they choose not to come or whatever happens to their offer, are they able to get that money back, or what happens?
So in that particular case, they would have to contact res admissions. That's a rather specific.
Okay, great. Are there any additional costs involved for moving on-campus accommodation early for international students? Is that an option? And is there an extra fee for that?
Yeah, so we will be announcing the date later this summer, but international students will be able to request an earlier move-in date.
And also, I'm just going to quickly add to that. For first-year students who are staying in residence, undergrad students, we do have an Ignite program that is happening specifically for students who will be staying on campus. There will be more information sent out shortly. So if you are staying in residence and you want to participate in this program, we are actually hoping that move-in date for those students is August 19th and 20th. But as I mentioned, there will be more information on the pre-departure webinar and also some more information coming out via email. Okay, sorry, let me just take a look. I think we're going to move on to Jen. So Jen, there's a student who says, I'm looking for off-campus residence for a small family. I found some off-campus options available at your website, and my question is, do you recommend applying for rent before arriving to Hamilton, or should I look for a temporary rent, then look for a longer one once I'm in Hamilton? What type of temporary rooms or rents are available for me, and how should I apply for them?
That one's a little more difficult because they indicated they're coming with a family. Mm-hmm. And I assume they mean small young children. Mm-hmm. So they probably are looking, I'm going to guess, maybe for a 2-bedroom apartment or something along those lines. You might be better to sort of get on top of that as soon as possible to make sure you're getting something large enough for your family. If they have a spot like that they're looking at, they could definitely send me an email at macoffcampus@mcmaster.ca, and let me know the address of the property, who their contact is, some of those details. And I can let them know if I know of that property or just can give them any details, and I can sort of let them know if I feel comfortable with them committing to it before they arrive.
Great, thank you. There are also many students asking for students, so of course coming from abroad, who might not be able to view the property. Do you think just looking at photos would be okay? What would you suggest? Some are asking if they come, would you suggest them coming in earlier and then looking for somewhere to live once they arrive and then signing the lease, or what would you recommend?
Generally speaking, I do recommend that you plan to arrive in Hamilton a few days in advance and then use that time to go out and see places. I really do believe it's important to see the place before you sign it whenever possible. I know it's not always possible, but just to guarantee that you're getting what you are happy with. I've had situations over the years where students have signed their leases and made the agreements before they got here, and they arrived and the place was horrible, or like I said before, it was in a basement, or just something that they weren't happy with. And then they tried to get out of the lease, but they had already signed, they'd already started making their payments, like the commitment was made. And it was really unfortunate for them and they were unhappy. So I'd like to see that situation be avoided whenever possible. And the best way to do that is to plan to stay in a hotel or someplace like that here for the first couple of days. But you need to reserve those hotels before you arrive, because it could be a very busy time of the year. So you want to make sure that you have a solidified place to stay for the first couple of days.
I have some MBA students asking. So MBA students will, most of their classes are at in Burlington at the campus there. So just so MBA students know, there is a bus that leaves from campus, from main campus every morning. It's a big white bus that will take you to the campus in Burlington, and it goes back and forth all day. There obviously are times that it goes and there's the last bus as well. So they were asking, students are asking about where to live. So because there is that bus, I mean, they're not just limited to Burlington, they are also able to get somewhere close to campus. Jen, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, from my experience, and I've worked here a long time, it is actually probably best for students to live in Hamilton. We do take some advertisements from Burlington, but the location of the Ron Joyce Center in Burlington is rather isolated. So it's kind of difficult to get to, even if you live in Burlington. If you don't have a car, it's kind of tough to get to that center. And the rents tend to be quite a bit more expensive in Burlington. It's only about a 20-minute drive from the main campus, so it doesn't take long to get there. And so I have learned that most students end up staying here in Hamilton, close to the main campus, and then they take the shuttle bus back and forth that you mentioned, Anna. And I think they've found that that is really their best option.
So many students have been asking, and I have been answering just by typing, when is the best time to start looking for housing? I always say sooner rather than later, but Jen, if you want to add to that.
Well, again, as I have said many times, I do believe it's best to wait till you get here. However, if you are going to get started, I recommend waiting probably until the end of June, beginning of July. We do have some ads on our website right now, but those landlords are typically looking to fill those properties right now. They don't necessarily want to talk to you about an occupancy in September. They are still trying to get their places filled as soon as possible. So once we hit July, if the place is still vacant, then typically the landlord is more willing to start negotiating and talking about a September occupancy date.
Mm-hmm. Also students, sorry.
That's okay.
Students are also asking, if they do come in earlier, as you're suggesting, how fast is the process of, let's say they find a place, they contact the landlord, and they're ready to sign the lease. How long is that process? Is it going to take a week? Is it going to take a few days? Basically, how long until they actually get into the house, basically?
Usually, in most situations, it's just a matter of a couple of days. Shouldn't take very long at all. If the place is vacant, they'll let you move in the same day sometimes.
Okay. So I think I'm going to bounce back to on campus. So Jerry, is there a place, or do students when they're doing their application, are they able to choose which residence they want to live in, or is it kind of like a lottery, or how does that work?
So at the moment, it's preferences, and based on the demand and based on how many applicants there are, it is based on a lottery.
Okay, and if students want more information on the different types of residences, would they get that on the residence website?
Sure. For on housing at mcmaster.ca, there are several pages. If you're looking for information about specific buildings or room types, we do have pages for that as well.
So just to keep with that topic, someone's asking how can they ensure that they get the preferred housing style? Is it guaranteed, or?
No. So the room types and all preferences are all just preferences. We can't guarantee that you will receive the room type that you do prefer.
Okay, and again, students living on campus, they are able to cook their own food in the kitchens that are provided, correct?
Yes, there are common spaces with kitchens that are shared.
Okay, is there a studying room for each floor in the residences?
So typically, students can use the common areas for studying, but there are some reses do have study rooms within the res, and there are also study rooms in adjacent buildings.
Okay, back to you, Jen. Are there any areas in Hamilton that you would suggest avoiding for safety reasons or whatnot when looking for off-campus housing?
Sure, that's a good question, and it's a common question. Personally, the area that surrounds the campus that's within walking distance, again, we refer to it as Zone 1. It's the Westdale Ainsley Wood area. That's the best place to be as far as convenience as well as safety goes. Very nice neighborhood. Downtown Hamilton isn't that bad, but it depends on what you're comfortable with. If you're coming from a very large city, then you might be very comfortable with it. If you're coming from a small town, you might not be that comfortable. There are some homeless people. There are some empty storefronts and things like that. It depends again on the area. So Zone 2 and Zone 3 are downtown Hamilton, and you can find some good, sometimes more affordable options being downtown, but it depends on what you are comfortable with. And then there's other parts of Hamilton as well. There's something on our website that we refer to as Zone 4, which is on the western side of the campus, a little bit beyond the campus, but it's only like a 10 to 15-minute bus ride from the campus. That is also the little community or town of Dundas. And Dundas is a very nice family-oriented kind of place, and they might be very comfortable living in Dundas as well.
Great.
Sorry, I should just say there are other parts of Hamilton. There's lots, again, it's a big city, so there are lots of different areas, and it really just depends on your comfort level.
Okay, so we have a few more questions and then we're going to wrap it up. So some people are asking, we did speak about families before. So for instance, if there is someone who is bringing in a fiance or a spouse or whatever to go look at a house, I would suggest disclosing that to the landlord because then there might be consequences if the landlord thinks that they're renting to one person and then there's going to be more coming in. Jen, did you want to address that?
Yeah. Generally speaking, the landlord cannot discriminate against people if they have a spouse or a partner, and if they want to have two people living in a one-bedroom apartment, there should be technically nothing to stop them from doing that. However, in practice, sometimes a landlord might have a different attitude about that. And if you want to challenge them on that, you can, but if you just want to make things go as smooth as possible, I agree with Anna. Identify that up front, that there will be two of you sharing the same bedroom, and that would just probably save you some headache down the road.
Great. So going back to your safety points, I've been asked if it is safer to live on or off campus. So in my opinion, I don't know if there's a safety feature. I think it's more of a convenience of living on and off campus. But if both of you want to kind of add to that, that would be great.
Yeah. Again, I don't know that there'd be, I think you're right. It's a matter of convenience mostly. especially if you're in the Zone 1 area closest to campus. It again is a safe area. But if you are uncomfortable, let's say you're here late at night, for whatever reason, you're on campus and it's dark and you're feeling a little bit uneasy about walking home or taking the bus back to your house, there is a program available to students. It's called SWAT. It's the Student Walk Home Attendant Team. It's a free service, and you can give them a call. Two people will come and meet you wherever you are on campus, and they will walk you back to your house. Again, so it's a nice safety feature, and again, it might just be really nice for the first couple of weeks until you get used to Hamilton, or if you want to use it all year long, that's fine too. But that's just something else to keep in mind if you're feeling uncomfortable.
Okay, so Jerry, I think I have one more for you. How does the lottery system work? Normally, how many percentage of us would get in eventually, or maybe get our choices?
So at the moment, I don't have any concrete information pertaining to that, but they will be receiving information following the June 3rd deadline.
Okay. Okay, we're going to end with this one. So this one's for Jen again. I guess some student has been doing some searching on off-campus accommodations, and they mentioned Airbnb rather than a long-term stay. So for instance, many ads are offering a furnished room in Zone 2 and 3 from anywhere from $600 to $1,000 a month. Are these ads to be considered as suspicious, or is this kind of a normal thing?
If I understand the question correctly, this is strictly on Airbnb. And I think they're asking me, is that like a reasonable rent?
I think so. I think for the price, yes.
Yeah, so I would say, without seeing the place, yes, $600 to $1,000 a month is probably, probably expected, probably reasonable. As far as the legitimacy goes, I don't know. I'd have to, you always do your homework, double check that the landlord or whomever it is, the contact is legitimate. Google the name, see if the name comes up on many different websites. Then that might be something to be cautious about.
Great. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and just watch out for our upcoming webinars where you can get more information. I know that you must be having questions on immigration and study permits and when to come to campus and what does Hamilton have to offer in McMaster, et cetera, et cetera. So we have some upcoming webinars that will answer all those questions for you. There's some great information coming in as well. So we hope to see you all in September. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you to the team who's working behind answering all of those questions for you guys. And we hope to see you soon. Thank you.